lifestyle plays a huge role in whether or not your genes express themselves. So, what do I mean by that? If you're genetically predisposed to have diabetes, for instance, it doesn't mean you're going to get it. You can control the way that you live your life so that that gene doesn't necessarily express itself.
Welcome to Mastering the Numbers. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. We're really excited to introduce my guest for today, Gloria Treister. She's a published author and she's founder and CEO of Wellness Evolution. And not only that, she's also a board certified holistic health practitioner and coach. So, Gloria, thank you very much for being part of my interview series.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe. It's a pleasure.
To get everybody started, can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, yourself and Wellness Evolution?
I can. Joe, I did not set out to go into healthcare. I didn't. I bought a franchise of photographic art galleries in 1980. So that'll give you a little hint as to how old I am. But that didn't pan out. There was a death in my husband's family, and I took over a physical therapy clinic to wind it down. And in the process, I started to become very interested in health and wellness and started really digging in. And the one thing that always stuck out to me was, why with your health do you wait until you're broken and then try to fix it? It just never made sense to me. And I kept searching and searching for answers to that. And conventional medicine just didn't have any of those answers for me. It was really interesting, and it was something that I just kept trying to do. By the time the late 80s rolled around, I started bringing in nutrition and exercise physiologists and all kinds of ancillary services to boost it up. And I actually wrote a little book back then that I won an award from the Better Business Bureau for an excellence in consumer education, because I realized that even doctors didn't know how to make an appropriate physical therapy recommendation. They didn't really know the full breadth of what a physical therapist could do. And I felt like so many people were missing out. So I've always been kind of a junkie for learning and then teaching, which is what I love to do. In 1997, I sold my business to a publicly traded rehab company. And I realized that there was not a lot of care in healthcare. It really, really bothered me. It was all about money, which I have nothing against money. I love money, but it just wasn't being delivered in a way that felt good to me and felt good to the people receiving it. And so I started looking further. And so that's when I started to really look for people who were preventing illness and disease. Just as a statistic, 80%, fully 80% of all chronic illness is preventable through lifestyle. So why aren't we doing that? Why are our healthcare costs so darn high? Why are we coming to work drained and exhausted and having digestive problems and all of that? And it really bothered me. That's when I started going around and talking to people and saying, what do you think about preventive health care? What do you think about this? And I was getting a lot of negative feedback, to be honest with you. I started Wellness Evolution in 2003 against the advice of about 100 people. I wrote a beautiful business plan. Everybody said, oh, it's a great business plan, but nobody's ever going to pay for wellness. Well, I was right. They were wrong, but it's still not happening the way it should. And so that's my mission in life right now, is to help people consider the fact that the heart attack you have at 50 started when you were 20. It's cumulative, and that you, on a daily basis, I want you to consider, this is a good takeaway, just be kind to your future self, because what you're doing today is going to impact how you age, how you, the successes that you have in life and in your business, and we want to keep you healthy.
I of course know that a lot of illnesses are preventable, but I never thought that the number was 80%. That's amazing. And so, over all these years of working within healthcare, has the doctor side of it, has the hospital side of it gotten better at preventable or worse?
Wow, that's a loaded question. In the 90s, when managed care came in, it changed the game totally. And in my opinion, for the worse. Um, we became very reliant on pharmaceuticals. I'd like to make a distinction here just for anyone who's not aware of this. When you go to a conventional medical doctor right now, they are an allopathic doctor. That's a term not everybody's familiar with, but allopathic means that they treat with surgery or medications. That's pretty much all they have to offer you. They might give you a referral for a psychologist if you're having mental issues, or for physical therapist if you're having post-surgical problems. But for the most part, it's medications and surgery. Integrative medicine is where you have a doctor who's open to maybe sending you for acupuncture or massage or some kind of meditation or yoga. But that's about the extent of that. What I love and what I've been seeking and what I've been studying for the last 20 or more years, actually about 25 now, is functional medicine. And I want to make a distinction in that because I really want our listeners today to have a completely different perspective when they go to see a doctor, because what's happening now is top-down medicine. You present with a symptom, and they're like, oh, you have that symptom? Here's a drug for that symptom. Next, what's your next problem? They think they've solved it by giving you that medication. Whereas if you were to go to a functional medicine doctor, they'd say, Joe, it's interesting that you're having headaches, for instance. Why are you having headaches? Where are they coming from? And they work at it from the root cause, from the bottom up. That approach makes so much more sense to me because you're using the least invasive approach first. And you're really thinking through, where's that emanating from? Because once you wind up in specialties, they don't even look at you as a whole person. You're either a heart or a lung or a brain or a nerve or a joint. Yeah. So it's more of a holistic, if you will, approach.
Yeah. I like that. You're not just covering up the problem. You're trying to figure out what's causing the problem.
100%. And that's so important because a lot of these drugs, and people don't realize it, and I could show you beautiful charts in my book that show the drugs by name and what nutrients they deplete from your body. So when you're getting side effects from drugs, it could simply be that it's depleting a particular nutrient that your body needs to function. Oh, shoot. And all you need to do is, sorry about that, all you need to do really is supplement that, either with your diet or with a nutritional supplement. So those things are, really important.
And speaking of your book, can you show us a copy of your book? What's the name of it?
I would love to. My book is called Wellness 101, Simple Steps to Good Health. And what I've done in this book is really made it easy to get and stay well. I'll flip through some pages. This book is easy to read, lots of white space, lots of pretty colors, lots of charts. Like I said, I have charts that show you everything. For instance, if you have an itis, so anything that ends in itis means inflammation. So arthritis, gastritis, all of the neuritis, any of these things, itis means inflammation. So what can you do, right? You could take medications, or maybe you could start by removing inflammatory foods from your diet. So how hard is that? It's simple. Here's a chart. Eat. Oh, that's not inflammation. Here we go. Here's inflammation. This chart on one side says these cause inflammation, eat less of those. The other side is these are anti-inflammatory, eat more of those. It doesn't have to be difficult. It can be very easy. And you can really do a lot of this for yourself. It's not that hard.
Yeah. I think I like how that's set up. That's just easy to read and easy to understand. So can you pick that up just on Amazon or a bookstore, anywhere?
You can. It's available on Amazon, and be sure to read the editorial reviews if you go on there. Jeffrey Bland, who is the father of functional medicine, he started it like 20 years ago, loved my book. And I'll tell you why. I think what happens to people is they have a problem. I want to lose weight, for instance, and they go out and they try every diet. But the problem is that they don't know what will work for them because each one of us is biochemically unique. We all have our own unique biochemistry. We all have our own genetic that we can draw from. And by the way, on genetics, the lifestyle plays a huge role in whether or not your genes express themselves. So, what do I mean by that? If you're genetically predisposed to have diabetes, for instance, it doesn't mean you're going to get it. You can control the way that you live your life so that that gene doesn't necessarily express itself. Yeah. Same with cancers and all of that, which is a whole other ballgame. And I'd love to talk about that at some point. We really need to be aware of the toxic chemicals in our environment, which there's a whole chapter on that in the book with charts. Everything in here is simple. It's written at like a 7th grade level because no one has an attention span for this anymore. I wanted to make it simple. But, there's so much more that we can control than we honestly believe. Yeah. So I just want to encourage people to not give up. If you're struggling with a health problem and all the doctors are going, oh, just live with it, or that's aging, or, it's okay, next problem or whatever. It's all in your head. That's another one. A lot of women get that. It's like, no, it's not. Learn to listen to your body. When your body has a problem, it's telling you. If you stop and listen to what the aches and the pains or the headaches or the whatever, the energy levels, it means something's missing. You're right. You got to think about it. We're sitting here right now and we're sitting erect. So our muscles are working. You're listening, you're hearing, you're digesting information, your brain's working, your heart's pumping, your lungs are breathing. All of that takes nutrition. Food is medicine. So I want to encourage people to really learn what you need to know to keep yourself going.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I'm definitely going to pick up the book. So I like what you said. It's at a 7th grade level. So that's perfect.
It is. It's lots of pretty pictures.
Great. Let's take the conversation a little bit to the business side. You've been a business owner, multiple business owner for years, from the art franchise through physical therapy and everything else. What have been some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in growing? Let's say this business right now, Wellness Evolution.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I'm working with a functional medicine doctor right now. It's hard to find a functional medicine doctor, first of all. There's not that many because it's a newer field and it's cash-based. So a lot of people don't have access to it. And she and I are very firm believers that this concept and this information should be available to everyone, not just people who are wealthy and can afford it. And so we created a course to teach people the foundations of what it takes to get and stay well. I think a mistake people make, I started to say this earlier, and I'm glad we're back here, is they go for a diet. How do you know if keto is the right one? Or should I do the Whole30? Or should I cut out carbs? It depends. It depends on your own unique biochemistry. And I actually talked to a client the other day who actually put herself in the hospital with keto because it just didn't work for her body. And so it's very important that you learn first the foundations of health. So people jump. Let's say you're stressed out. You might say, oh, I need a stress management course, or, oh God, I'm overweight. I need to go on a diet, or whatever it may be. Without that foundational information, it's really, really hard to assimilate what they're telling you and realize whether or not that one's meant for you. Well, we're doing this course right now, and it's really hard to get people to sign up. I don't know if it's the messaging. I don't know if people just aren't ready for wellness, but I would think that the way that we position this course, that anyone would want to jump in and learn this, because what's more important than your health? nothing. If you don't
Nothing.
have your health, you can't have a successful business. If you don't have your health, people see you differently. You don't look as good. You don't exude
Yeah.
that energy. And that's what you want to be successful in life. So somehow I have to figure out that's the hardest thing is getting people interested in taking better care of themselves. That's been my biggest struggle.
Okay. Yeah. Messaging is tough. It can be. So, is there anything, if you look back on the start of Wellness Evolution, is there anything that you would have done differently in the growth of the company?
Wow. I don't know. I did a lot of things that I thought were good. I'm a graduate of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. I took part in Year in Cleveland. I don't know if everyone's in Cleveland, but I did the Cozy Strategic Planning course and
Okay.
mentored in
Yeah.
it for 5 years. So I always did the right things that way. I think it's really hard. I think wellness is just coming around. People are just starting to embrace it. I think I started too soon. The year 2003 was way before anybody else. And the first question everyone asked when they called, phone would ring, yeah, Wellness Evolution, hey, are your services covered by insurance? No,
Yeah.
they're not. And they were like, okay, click. So that was a
Yeah.
real problem at first. And
Right.
now I think people are a little bit more willing to part with a few dollars to take care of themselves. I would hope that people would appreciate and realize how important that is, not
Yeah.
just to their life outside of business, but as a business strategy. And as I mentioned to you when we spoke earlier, that's my next book is wellness needs to be a business strategy. It
Yeah.
helps with people staying with your company. It helps with employee satisfaction. It helps with production. Everybody's happier when they feel better. I mean, let's face
Yeah.
it, when a bunch of people who don't feel good, how good is your productivity going to be? How good is your
It's not.
atmosphere, your community? It isn't going to be
Yeah.
there.
It's not
You
going to
want
be good.
you want engaged, happy, well people, and you want to be the leader of that too.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it at the top, then no one else is going to follow.
Yeah. Absolutely. Another issue. We talked about this briefly before we started recording. We were talking about balance between personal and professional life, and we expanded on it a little bit with with health and things of that nature. How do you not only yourself, but how do you work with your clients to help them find balance?
Yeah, I think balance is super important. And I think sometimes people complicate it. Like they think, oh, how am I going to do everything I have to do for work, take care of my family, and fit exercise in? Or how am I going to do all those things and eat healthy? I don't have time to cook or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, you have to realize that, for instance, with exercise, you don't have to have an hour a day. You can
Yeah.
do what I like to call exercise snacks. Instead of going and eating a snack in the afternoon because you're kind of feeling sluggish and you go get a candy
Yeah.
bar or a granola bar or something that's full of crap anyway, um, get up and do 20 squats and go to the wall and do 20 push-ups against the wall. That counts. It adds up.
Yeah.
If you do that throughout your day, 5, 10 minutes at a time, you can build an hour. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
If you learn how, which is in the book too, if you learn how to make food, let's say you say Sunday's my cooking day, and you spend a couple hours making all your meals for the week. You can freeze things, you can put it in the fridge, you can find a buddy that will cook this for you and you cook that for them. Just get creative like you would in your business. Get creative with your life so that you're making sure that at all times you're doing what's best for you first. It's kind of like when you're on an airplane and they say put the oxygen mask on you first,
Yeah.
help other people. How can you help other people if you don't have the physical
Yeah.
resources, mental resources to do that? You
Right.
can't.
Can't. Can't. So I like that. I mean, we talked about it. Everything has to be in line. It can't You can't think about work-life balance as just I spend time at work and then I spend time at home. There's other things that have to be involved, including health. So I agree. Um, to maybe expand on that a little bit, um, do you have a support team that helps motivate you and keep you focused on a day-to-day basis to continue to grow the company?
I actually do. And I think community It's super important when it comes to success in business, personal life, and your health. You need community. I subscribe to if they call it content and creation group, the one that I belong to. I pay like
Yeah.
$100 a month. And 3 times a week, we get together. We talk about what our goals are. We talk about what we're going to do. And then on Fridays, the class is focused on one person's issues. And I
Yeah.
can't tell you what I've gotten from that. Just listening to other people, it sprung out of an author group, which I have a lot of other things that I'm involved with. But these people are great because several of them have written great business books. So they're a great
Yeah.
resource for me for business. But I think community, and if you look at the blue zones, which are places on the earth where people live healthy longer, community is always across the board one of the most important things for them. So I would encourage people to get an accountability group, get a group of
Yeah.
people around you to keep you on track, because how easy is it to just go off this way or that way? And you never know. And it's kind of like the diet thing. I tried this one, I'm going to try that one. And none of it works. You really need to focus, and you need a
Yeah.
group, your community, to keep you focused and to keep you moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. Accountability is key. I think everybody can use some sort of an accountability person standing next to them. Um, so I know that the medical industry changes. There's a lot of technology that changes. Do you find that technology is a big thing inside your industry as far as advancements on a on a year to year basis?
100%. Um, you know, we now have incredible lab testing, and we can pinpoint things that are so incredible. It's changing every single day. Back when I had a clinic, which I don't now, but when I did, and we had corporate accounts, we used to do, we did a program for a company called Mind, Mood, Stress, and Sleep. And we were able to test people's neurotransmitters. So, what's a neurotransmitter? Um, I don't know if your listeners have heard of the gut as the second brain, but your gut actually makes your brain chemistry, things like dopamine that make you happy, serotonin that lets you sleep, all of those things. You can test that and find out what's missing. So if you're having trouble sleeping, you can find out, are all the neurotransmitters I need to help me relax at night and go to sleep? You can test cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. So if you wake up like in the morning and you feel like you just got run over by a truck, and at night you can't sleep because you have monkey brain and you've got 10,000 chattering monkeys in there and you cannot calm down, that could just be cortisol. You don't need a sleeping pill. That's why I
Yeah.
say that everything needs to be personalized. One
Yeah.
size fits all medicine does not work. It's got to be one size fits one. And you are biochemically unique. Even if you have an identical twin, there's nobody else like you due to lifestyle. And so the way you live your life definitely changes. They call it epigenetics. It's a whole new world of science right now that
Yeah.
studies how does lifestyle really impact your unique biochemistry. And once you learn what your biochemistry is, and you do it to a little extent right now with an allopathic doctor because they might check your vitamin D levels, you
Right.
know, they know a little bit. But when you get into a more personalized medicine situation, which is what functional medicine does, you try not to go right to the labs because they're expensive. We want to be
Yeah.
mindful of people's resources. But if you can't pinpoint a problem, I swear to you, there's a lab test for it nowadays. And your conventional doctor does not offer it. I'm sorry to tell you that. But, some people get headaches all the time, and it could be as simple as identifying a food allergy or a food
Yeah.
sensitivity. So there's a lot of science out there today that I think is wonderful and is helping people. Now, should you sign up for these people that are promoting like $5,000 and you get all the lab tests? I don't think so. I don't really think that's necessary. I think you start with identifying your top issues and then work from there. Which one's the most important? What do we need to work on first?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I mean, you certainly need to push that forward. So let me ask you this: for individuals that might be thinking about getting into the wellness industry or doing something similar to what you're doing, what do you find the most challenging in what you do?
Most challenging. Wow. There's a lot of information out there, a lot. Um, I think it's learning everything. Like I said, I'm an education junkie. I probably do 2 to 3 webinars a week just to keep up with what's happening. It's happening fast. So find something you love. I love helping people and I love learning this stuff for some reason. I don't know. And it's funny too, because the most challenging thing is you could tell people. One of my friends was over the other night and she said, "Oh, don't pay attention to me. My hand's shaking." Well, your hand's shaking. Why is it shaking? She's just like, I'm just getting old. That's not okay. You got to
Yeah,
learn how to figure it out. When it comes to the wellness industry, there's a lot of different directions you could go. You could go to medical school, although they won't teach you what I'm talking about today yet. They're getting there, they're getting closer. I think now they're starting to teach more than a half a day of nutrition, but they
yeah,
never used to. They really never used to. So you might want to go that direction. Maybe you want to become an acupuncturist. That's really a valid thing to do. There's a lot out there. You could do massage. You could learn Reiki. Everybody has Reiki. You have Reiki. We all
right.
have Reiki. It's just guided energy. So you can learn a lot of different things. I would say just find an entry point that lights you up, that makes you feel like, yes, I could do this. I could take it to other people and I could feel good about it. For me, what I learned about myself since I gave up the clinic, because when you're running a clinic, I don't have to tell all you business owners out there or business people, there's a lot of other things you got to do. You can't really enrich
Yeah,
your own stuff sometimes. So you're paying bills and learning how to run a business and dealing with leases and all of that. It's a lot. Since I left that, I have found that I've been able to really follow my passion. And I never knew I had a passion for teaching until I was able to do
yeah,
that. So teaching is my thing. I love it. I love helping people discover what it is that's missing for them and then
yeah.
working on that so they can enrich their lives. And for me, at my age, I have grandchildren. I get on the floor and play knee hockey with my grandsons. I don't want to be in a nursing home having someone change my diaper. It's just not
Yeah.
who I am. I hope it's not who all of you are, that you really want to have a rich life. And I would say one last thought on that is think about that. What do you want when you get older? What do you want for
Yeah.
yourself? And take that and create your why, kind of like Simon Sinek wrote, getting to why with your
Yeah.
business. Get to
Right.
why with your health. Think, why do I want to be healthy? And then go back to that every time you make a decision. I think we make over 30,000 decisions a day. It's some crazy number like that. And like 80% of them relate to your health. So think
Yeah.
about it when you're getting ready to have lunch. I'm going to eat this or am I going to eat this? Well, which one's healthier? Make a choice. Choose yourself.
Right. Yeah. Like that. So, where do you see your business in the next 12 to 36 months?
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope we get people to want to join our educational courses.
Yeah.
I want to teach people how to take care of themselves. I mean, did you learn that in school, Joe? Did anyone ever
No.
sit down and teach you what a macronutrient and a micronutrient was and how your body uses food to fuel your brain and your heart and your lungs and to prevent cancer and all those things? No one
Never.
taught us that. So my hope and my fervent desire, because I'm so passionate about this, is to get people interested in learning how this works and so that they can be better at everything else. Because it's not that hard. People make it complicated. It really isn't. There's basic foundational education that you can get and get it from someone who really cares, someone who
Yeah.
really has a passion so that you come out of it learning. Because I'll tell you a little something that you might not know. The word doctor comes from the Latin word docere, which means to teach. When's the last time a doctor taught you anything? They ever teach you
No,
anything
I
in
have
business?
no, no, no.
It's not because they're bad people. You asked me earlier, how is the healthcare system now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How much time does a doctor get with you? They can
Very little.
only do what they can do within that given amount of time, which is usually 15 minutes,
Yeah,
maybe up to 20 if you're lucky. And during that time, they got to write the notes because they got to move on to
yeah.
the next person. So
Right.
you need to find your guide, your North Star when it comes to wellness. I'm hoping that's me. But, go out and find someone who will teach you that. Maybe bring someone into your company an hour a month just to
Yeah,
rev people up and get them excited about energy and feeling good. Because everybody today, look, when we look at the news and everything that's going on in the world, it can drain you. You've got to take care of your own resources because life is hard right now.
it sure is. So, final two questions. Completely different direction. Not completely different direction, but different direction. What's the best business advice anybody's ever given you?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one. Wow. The best business advice. Well, I think you need a strategy. Um, you need to know where you're going. I like the why. Why do you do
Yeah,
what you do? And then figuring out what is your strategy to get there. And so, having a business plan is an important thing with good actionable steps and just sticking to that and then periodically revisiting it. How am I doing? Measuring success. Is this working? If it's not working, don't beat yourself up. Use that information to figure out, well, how do we make it better going forward? And just keep
yeah,
moving ahead and don't look back. And I think that's the same with just about any aspect of your life. Just have a plan, know what you're
yeah,
doing, know why you're doing it, get your plan together and execute it, and then reevaluate it, keep revisiting.
yeah. Yeah. Nice. Oh, so I guess another direction. What advice would you give someone who's thinking about starting a business, but they just can't get over the hump to start it? They're concerned about starting their own.
Well, first of all, um, get your strength together because it's not easy being a business owner. We all know that.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
yeah,
work. Um, you just have to make sure that you have enough passion to pull it through
yeah,
and build a network. We talked about community earlier, getting out in the public, helping people understand what you do and listening. I think listening is a lost art for a lot of people. And when you ask somebody, what do you think about my business? If they start telling you things that maybe you don't want to hear, just listen. I used to tell my kids that's why God gave you two ears and one mouth.
yeah,
Just shut it, listen, take it to heart. You can ask questions, but don't get defensive. Listen to what people are
yeah,
telling you, internalize it, take the time to really think it through and appreciate what they're telling you.
yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
hard
I agree. Listening is a lost art form. It really is. But the other thing that you said that I completely agree with is building that network. I think we all need to have people that surround us that can understand the things that we're going through, and hopefully they have more experience than us, and they've been through what we've been through, and they have some good solid advice for us.
Or maybe they just have a different perspective.
Yeah,
They're coming at it from a different angle, and you're like, whoa, that could help me. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Um, I think one of my most fun things that I do in my business is meeting other people in my business. I go to I'm an active member of the Global Wellness Institute. Every year they have a conference in another country. It's given me the opportunity to meet people from all over the world. I mean, wellness in different countries is different than it is here in the United States. I mean, in some
yeah,
countries, they don't even have clean water to drink. So we aren't talking about the same wellness there that we would be here. And so getting the whole picture sometimes is a good thing. So maybe network with people that are inside of your business or people who support your kind of business, who provide services or products to your business and ask them, what's so and so doing? What are they doing? And kind of Get out there. Don't sit behind a desk at your house and think that all that busy work you're doing is promoting your business. It isn't. You need to get out there and learn from other people.
Right. I like that. Well, listen, Gloria, I really appreciate you taking this much time to spend with myself and the audience. And I really look forward to talking to you again when your next book comes out. So make sure that you
Yeah.
let me know when that happens. If anybody out there wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do it?
Please feel free to email me at any time. My email address is gloria@wellnessevolution.com, as opposed to revolution. People mix that up. So it's Gloria at Wellness Evolution, because I wanted to keep evolving as the wellness industry evolved. So that was my thought process in 2002. And you can call me. My cell phone number is 216-409-5665. That's 216-409-5665. I want to hear from you. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how what you're doing is working for you. And if you should decide that, wow, she's really inspired me today, I'm going to get healthy. I want to live a healthy life longer. I want to live till I'm 100 and feel good at 100.
Yeah.
Take one of my classes. They're great. Or have me come in and talk to your employees. I love, love, love to teach.
That's great. Well, listen, I've learned quite a few things today, so I think you're probably an excellent teacher. Well, once again, thank you very, very much for taking part in my interview series. For everybody out there listening, thanks for attending Mastering the Numbers, and we'll catch up with you on the next episode. Go out and buy that book.
Go out and buy that book. Thank you. Bye for now. Thanks for listening.
Yep, take care.
You, Joe.
You've just tuned into another episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you found valuable insight to boost your financial success. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Keep pushing forward, and thanks for listening.